Hey, what in the hell happened to you? Hi. Hey, it's Nick, Digilio. Thank you for checking me out on my YouTube channel. Subscribe. I do videos almost daily. You can also support me at Patreon, which is a great way to do this. It keeps my content coming and my videos going. All this stuff that I do is DIY, and I could use some assistance. So donate today. Become a patron. Pick a tier. Donate a monthly thing. $3, $9, $25 a month, whatever you want. You get bonuses, including exclusive videos of behind-the-scenes stories of WGN and what really went down behind the scenes, and many other things. It really would help out. So donate, please, if you can. Patreon.com/NickDShow. Click on that, donate, become a patron now. Patreon.com/NickDShow. My podcast, the Nick D Podcast, is on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network, RadioMisfits.com, and everywhere you get your podcasts, every platform. New episodes every Tuesday and Friday of each week. The Nick D Podcast. So there's a new movie out that I saw just this past week, and it did very well at the box office, called Uncharted. It stars Mark Wahlberg and Tom Holland, who I've recently discovered that I fucking hate. I find him excruciatingly annoying. Every time I see him on a talk show, I want to punch him in the mouth, and I don't like him in movies. I hated the last Spider-Man movie. I know everybody loved it, but that's what I thought of the stupid last Spider-Man meta fan service bullshit Spider-Man movie, which sucked. And I don't like him. He just drives me fucking nuts. And he and Mark Wahlberg are in this movie called Uncharted. And I like Mark Wahlberg. I know a lot of people hate him. My partner on my podcast, Esmeralda Leon, can't stand Mark Wahlberg. And it's weird because, like most people, if you were to pick the two guys in that movie, the one that most people would say, he's an asshole, would be Mark Wahlberg. I think it's quite the opposite. I like Mark Wahlberg. I think Tom Holland is an annoying asshole. Super annoying. And the more popular, the older that he gets, now that he's like a legal adult and he's like in his mid-20s now, and he's clearly getting laid a lot. And I don't know, he's a snide smart ass. Really, I just can't stand him. He makes me nuts. If he were in a room, and if he and I were in a room together, I'd either leave or punch him in the face. So I can't stand Tom Holland. And I don't like him in movies either. I find him fucking annoying. Anyway, so this Uncharted came out, and it's a piece of crap. It's garbage. It is terrible. The action sequences, it's a big adventure sort of action movie that's kind of inspired by the genre that Indiana Jones falls into, except that it's a video game movie. It's based on a video game. Uncharted, I guess, is a very popular video game. But the movie's terrible. It is as stupid as you can get. It was written by a 3-year-old. It's a movie that plays like a video game, which means it's a piece of shit. And that's what this video is about. And it's about movies based on video games. Now, and there's, and the track record of movies based on video games is awful. It's absolutely awful in terms of whether the movies are good or not. Now, let me just preface this by saying, except for Pong in the 70s, I have never in my life played video games at home, on a computer. I never had a system. I don't have a system in my house right now. I've never had a Nintendo. I've never had a whatever the fuck they are. Atari. I didn't even have Atari back in the early 80s. Pong in the 70s. That's it. I got as crazy as Brick Breakout, where the balls were, bouncing and knocking bricks out. That's about as crazy and complicated as I got. So I had Pong with like a little bit of the Breakout in there. So I never had a home system, never had any of them. I wouldn't know a Sega from a Nintendo, from a PlayStation. I don't know any of that shit. I don't know how to work a controller unless I've been over to a friend's house and played for a little bit. I've probably, on the number of fingers on one hand, I could count the number of times that I've had a home video game controller in my hand. Literally can count on one hand the amount of times. So I do not play video games. When I was growing up, I happened to be, I was born in 1965, so I was a teenager in the 80s, in the 70s and 80s. So I was a teenager in that late 70s up to the the early 80s. So that was the period where I was a teenager, and that's when the video game market blew up. Pac-Man Fever, all the video games, that took off. And video games became huge in malls, and, you would go to arcades and stuff like that. But for me, in my childhood, it was all about pinball. and I was a pinball fanatic, and I love pins. To this day, I still love pinball. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I think Licorice Pizza is a goddamn masterpiece. I don't know. But anyway, so when pinball was popular, and then video games like would come in, like Asteroids or Death Race 2000 Death Race games, or some of the racing games, the very early, simple, almost black and white stick-like graphics, I played a little bit of those. But then when the video game industry really blew up in the early 80s, and everybody had Pac-Man fever, and everybody was playing all the crazy video games, and your Centipedes, and your all that stuff, I played it pretty regularly. Galaga was my game. Galaga was the game, it's an offshoot of Galaxian. And so, obviously, as a teenager at that time period, I definitely got caught up in the early 80 arcade games. I still preferred pinball, and I would rather play pinball even then. When everybody was hooked on Pac-Man and all the arcade games, I was still like, fuck those, I want to play pinball. But the only video game that I ever became sort of obsessed with, arcade game, was Galaga. And it was the only one that I was ever good at. And I'm great at Galaga. To this day, I'm great at Galaga. But that's the only game I ever played. And I kind of stopped. And that was 40 years ago. That's been like 40 years. So I don't play arcade games. I don't play video games at home. I don't give a fuck about video games. I know people who are obsessed with them. I know people Madden this and the sports games and all that shit. People play the games on their computers and all that stuff. So I understand that gamers are massive, that they're huge. Look, one of my idols in the world, John Carpenter, is obsessed. He is a huge gamer, and I have tons of friends who are gamers. And the majority of people in the world of pop culture love video games, have had different systems over the years, and still to this day, my friends who are in their 50s have some sort of game system in their house, whether it be on their TV or streaming or on their computer or whatever. I just don't. It doesn't interest me. Video games don't mean shit to me. I don't give a shit about video games. I stopped caring about video games during Galaga. That was it. And again, Pong was the only sort of home video thing that I ever had. Never had any of it. Never. Not even Atari. Nothing. None of that shit. So when I say things about these movies that are based on video games, you have to understand I don't give a shit about video games. So I have to plead ignorance on these games. 90% of them, 95% of the movies that I'm going to mention that are based on video games, I haven't played them. I don't know how to play them. I don't give a shit. It's just gaming, video games, that shit at home, screaming at the TV with a headset on and being online with other people and playing the video games. It doesn't interest me in the fucking slightest. So saying that, I have to say, but maybe I'm a little biased. I don't know. If you're a gamer, and you probably are, because I'm literally like one in, 900,000 people. I'm like one of 900,000 people who doesn't give a fuck about video games. So let me just go through the list of movies based on video games. And even if you're a gamer, even if you're obsessed with video games and you know all about these games and you play them and you're an expert and you're fucking awesome at it and you have fun, God bless you, you got to admit, even as a gamer, you got to admit that most movies based on video games are shit. They suck. And I think it really comes down to the fact that video games aren't meant to be movies. This Uncharted movie is a piece of shit. It's garbage. It's terrible. And while I was watching it, if I didn't know that it was based on a video game, if I didn't know that Uncharted was already a video game, I would have watched the movie and went, Jesus Christ, this is so bad, it's like a video game. And that's not a compliment. To say something is like a movie is like a video game, it's a fucking insult. So here's some of them. You ready? Here. Even you gamers out there are going to go, oh yeah, that sucked. Yeah. But I'm not a gamer. Again, as I said, I don't give a flying shit about video games. Super Mario Brothers, I believe, was the first major motion picture that was based on a video game. Now, need we talk about this movie? Now, I never played Super Mario Brothers. I don't know what the fuck. You run up and down a scaffold, and there's a gorilla, and he throws shit at you. And you're an Italian stereotype, and you got a mustache, and you jump over shit. You jump over barrels. There's a woman and a monkey. Never played Donkey Kong. I played Donkey Kong a handful of times in the 80s. Don't have the Super Mario Brothers. I don't know what the Mario Kart. Don't know what any of that shit is. I know that Luigi, oh, I'm an Italian stereotype. I know that. And I know that fucking Bob Hoskins, you know, to the day he died, regretted doing the Super Mario Brothers movie. You know, I remember he was on, because Bob Hoskins is one of the greatest actors that ever lived, has given some of the greatest performances of all time. A criminally underrated actor, Bob Hoskins, and specifically his performance in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. One of the greatest American movie performances of all time. Of all time. In 1988, he should have been nominated for Best Actor. He wasn't. It's fucking ridiculous. But Bob Hoskins' performance, and I know that maybe that was the weird... Like, obviously you got Mona Lisa. You got a ton of movies where you can talk about how great Bob Hoskins is as an actor. But go back and watch Who Framed Roger Rabbit again. And take a look at that movie and realize that he was alone on that set for most of the time. He was acting to no one. He had all these cartoon characters that he was interacting with. Roger, he had to have this relationship that you cared about with a fucking animated rabbit. And you did care. You know why? Because Bob Hoskins is a genius. But anyway, Bob Hoskins is in it. Leguizamo, Super Mario Bros. I took a girl on a date to see that movie. I'm surprised she didn't break up with me like immediately. Like 45 minutes into the movie, she's like, you know what? This is we're done. I mean, it was a screening. We didn't pay. I didn't pay, so I was fine with it. It was a critic screening, and I took her to it. I don't know. Maybe I was trying to fucking impress her. Hey, baby, I'll take you to see Super Mario Brothers. I'm a movie critic. Want to go see Super Mario Brothers? Shocking. It didn't last. Anyway, Super Mario Brothers. Shit. Double Dragon. Video game, I guess. Ridiculous movie. Stupid. Didn't make a lot of money. So I don't know. Double Dragon? I don't know. I'm not a gamer. Maybe the game's good. I thought the movie was shit. Maybe I'm wrong and I just don't understand. Street Fighter. Okay, well now here's the thing about Street Fighter. It's hilarious. This is Jean-Claude Van Damme, and unfortunately it's Raul Julia's last movie. Like, this is the last film that Raul Julia did. Which, you know, of course, Raul Julia, another extraordinary, brilliant actor, who unfortunately his last film is fucking Street Fighter. Never played the video game. I don't know what. You fight shit, I guess. Yeah, you're on the street and you fight? I don't fucking know. So I can't judge it against the video game. But the movie was terrible. But it's hilarious, so it's entertaining. It's one of those so shitty it's funny and entertaining. A little Van Damme-age for you. But yeah, Street Fighter. Mortal Kombat, okay? I saw Mortal Kombat, the first Mortal... Now, there's another one. Another one came out last year, which was rated R and more violent. I guess people think that's more like the video game. I don't know. I never played Mortal Kombat in my life. I'm aware of it. I've seen it. I know it's a video game. I know it's popular. There was one time where many of my friends were into it. And I remember seeing the first Mortal Kombat in the mid-'90s. We went to the drive-in. A whole bunch of us went to the drive-in. And we were drinking. So I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was a lot of fun. Then I saw it on cable sober, and I was like, what the fuck is this? I just remember that one of the characters was a monster, and he went, get down here, or some shit, or get over here, or whatever. I laughed at that. But it's, I mean, there were some fight scenes in it that were okay, and the lead, I can't remember who he was, but the lead fighter in it, very talented guy, can do martial arts like a motherfucker, so that was fun, but very stupid, and I don't know the game. And then there was a sequel to it a couple of years later, Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Shit. Wing Commander. I don't even remember it. Couldn't tell you. I know it's a video game. I remember it being shitty, but I couldn't tell you anything else about it. Wing Commander. Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, with Angelina Jolie. Piece of shit. Piece of shit. And really stupid. And Angelina Jolie is really terrible in it. Very wooden. You know what? She's very much like a video game in it. So, the Lara Croft movie, the Tomb Raider movie, then they made a sequel called, what the fuck was it called? Lara Croft, I don't even know what there was a sequel to it, though. Lara Croft, Cradle of Life, that's what it was called. Cradle of Life. So, anyway, but yeah, Angelina Jolie, you know, obviously it looks like a video game hero, so I guess it's good casting. I never played the game, I don't know. She runs around and shoots shit with arrows and stuff. I don't know. Looking for a treasure. It was like a female Indiana Jones thing. But yeah, I never played the game. Movie, terrible. You can't tell me that these movies aren't terrible. So far, all of these movies suck. Some were entertaining because they were so bad, like Street Fighter. Final Fantasy, Yeah, that was a video game. This was an animated movie. Came out in the early 2000s, I guess, or 2001 or some shit. I remember it being really boring. I don't remember whether it had an interesting story. I remember it being very boring. I didn't give a fuck what was happening. And again, Final Fantasy, I never played the game, so I don't know. Another bad movie. These are all bad, by the way. I have not given the title of one good movie so far. Let's move on. Resident Evil. Some people like these movies. They suck. They're terrible. There's I don't know how many of them there are. There are like 15 of these dumbass Resident Evil movies with the Mila Jovovich, who except for maybe 2 movies like Dazed and Confused, and a movie called Bone, she's terrible, and she was married to the asshole director, the Paul P.S. Anderson guy, who was just a fucking hack, who couldn't direct traffic in the middle of the street. And they were married, so he made her the leading lady, and she did like Ultraviolet, which was very similar. And she became like hot action hero for a while because of these movies. Resident Evil, I'm supposed to like these. Everybody's like, how come you don't play the video game? It's zombies. Because I look at the video game and I'm like, I don't give a shit. The zombies are fast. They're not really zombies. They're like infected. I guess if I remember the plot correctly from these movies, there's a corporation that leaks some deadly juice in the air, and if you inhale the deadly juice, you become a raving maniac. That's not a zombie. A zombie is someone who dies and comes back to life. And then if you bite if you get bitten by a zombie and you die, you come back to life. You don't have, like evil juice in your system released by the Tyrell Corp. No, Tyrell is Blade Runner. Whatever the corporation, the fucking Apple Corporation, whatever it is. I know you're a video game player right now and you're like, it's the blank corporation. You know the name of the corporation. The Dildo Corporation, whatever it is. So the Dildo Corporation in Resident Evil, they release some evil mist juice, and then Mila Jovovich has to chop up zombies, and Michelle Rodriguez got sucked into these movies as well. And so, yeah, a lot of people like the Resident Evil movies. Okay, so those are the ones that if you're a gamer, you're probably, the Resident Evil movies are good. They suck. They're stupid. They're not zombie movies. They're just shit. They're dumb movies based on dumb video games. All right, let's move on. House of the Dead. This is Uwe Boll. This guy made a series of movies that were all based on video games, and they all sucked. House of the Dead was the first one they did. Another zombie video game. Everybody's like, you should play House of the Dead. Movie's terrible, but the game is cool because there's zombies in it. I don't give a fuck. So then there's Alone in the Dark, another one of these Uwe Boll movies that's based on a video game. This is what this guy, this crazy, ridiculous director who at one point was like, wanted to take on his critics in the boxing ring. Does anybody remember this? Uwe Boll is considered one of the worst filmmakers, one of the worst directors of all time. Like, not even Ed Wood fun bad, but just he makes shitty movies. They just suck. He's got no talent. He's a horrible, horrible filmmaker whose trademark is making shitty movies from shitty video games. That's what this guy is known for. And at one point he got sick and tired of. He's very outspoken, loudmouth jagoff who makes terrible movies based on video games. And then at one point, like, he made some, headlines in the pop culture world and online because he challenged people to fight him in the ring if they didn't like his movies. And then he did I guess he boxed a few times with, like, I think he did like a couple of online critics. Whatever. If you don't like my movies, I'll fight you. Let's get in the ring and fight. Fucking moron. So Doom was another one, and that starred before he became Dwayne Johnson. He was still The Rock. This is another one that's been Doom. Terrible movie. Let's continue here. Blood Rain. That's another Uwe Boll movie based on a video game. Let's just continue here. DOA, Dead or Alive. I don't even know what that game is. I saw the movie. I didn't see the whole thing because it was a double feature at the Bruinview, if I'm not mistaken, or someplace. I saw it someplace where I didn't stay for the whole thing. Maybe I was at somebody's house and they had it on, and it was shit. So I don't know the video game. DOA, Dead or Alive. I don't know it. Silent Hill. Okay, this is the only video game movie that I like, is Silent Hill. Again, never played the game. When I first heard about it, Silent Hill, I didn't even know it was a video game. And then my friend's like, yeah, it's a cool video game. You'd like it. I don't know why people keep telling me over and over again for 30-something years that, yeah, you'd like this video game. No, I wouldn't. I don't like any video games. Oh, this is a scary one, though. It's got demons and zombies and shit in it. You'd like it. No. Is it a video game? Yeah. Well, then I'm not going to like it because I don't give a shit. But anyway, I like Silent Hill. I like the movie Silent Hill. Again, never played the video game. Don't care to. And again, seeing the movie, I wasn't even intrigued to play the video game. It's not like when it was over, I was like, geez, I'd like to play that video game. I don't give a fuck. But I thought the movie was cool, and it was like, I guess that's what happens in the game, is this woman is played by, she's played by Radha Mitchell, who's an actress that I really like, and her daughter is dying, so she decides to go into this weird place to have a faith healer. She goes into this weird place to have a faith healer, like, try and heal her daughter who is young and dying, and she ends up in this place called Silent Hill. I didn't know, I saw it at Bruinview, and it was the first movie, so I wasn't drunk. I remember I saw it with my ex-wife, who was just my girlfriend at the time, and my buddy Manny, and all three of us were like, hey, because we all didn't give a shit about it. I think the movie at 10 o'clock was, we were there to see the movie that was at 10, and Silent Hill was at 8, and we had to sit through it. It was one of those deals. And I thought it was really cool. Now, I will say this, I didn't know what the fuck was going on during the entire movie. No idea. Like, it kept going, I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. I don't know who this person is or what's going on. It's cool as hell, though, and it was creepy and moody. It's a good movie. It makes no sense. I don't know. I have no idea. To this day, I couldn't tell you what the plot was or why anything happened or who was this or what. The visuals were awesome. It had a great mood. It was creepy and kind of scary and very, very cool. And I loved Radha Mitchell. I loved the lead. And the director did Brotherhood of the Wolf. He also did a really great foreign language version of Beauty and the Beast with Vincent Cassel as the Beast. So he's a good director. The guy's a good director. Brotherhood of the Wolf, terrific movie. And so, I don't know, never played the video game Silent Hill, but that's the only video game movie that I legitimately like. Not to make fun of, not because it's bad, like Street Fighter, but like I think Silent Hill's actually a good movie. It's like a surrealistic, avant-garde movie that makes no sense at all, and I loved it. So, I don't know. Still haven't played the video game. In the Name of the King, a Dungeon Siege story, another Yuli Boll movie. Postal, another Yuli Boll movie based on a video game about, I guess it's about from what I understand, I mean, I only saw the movie on cable. I didn't even go to the theater to see it. I didn't even see the whole movie. I watched it on cable. But I guess it's about a mailman who goes nuts, a postal worker who goes nuts and fucking kills everybody. That's what the video game is. If I remember correctly, there was some sort of controversy about it because I think in the video game, you play a U.S. postal employee who goes on a rampage and kills everybody. All right. Far Cry. I don't even know what that is. I saw it on a video game movie list. Don, I don't know what it is. Far Cry, good video game? Okay, I don't care. Good movie? I don't know. I didn't see it. Max Payne, awful movie. Mark Wahlberg is in it. That's a terrible movie. Everybody tells me the video game's great. Oh, you'd love the video game. No, I wouldn't. And the movie's terrible. Street Fighter, The Legend of Chun-Li. Good fights in that movie. Stupid movie. So that's not a terrible one, but the fight scenes are good in it, but the movie was really stupid. So let's see what else. Tekken. That's not the movie with Liam Neeson, where his daughter is Tekken. Tekken, another stupid video game. Let's see. The Prince of Persia. I didn't even know that was based on a video game. The embarrassingly awful Jake Gyllenhaal in a bad wig, swords and sorcerer movie. Sands and Sandals and Swords movie. Fucking terrible movie. I didn't even know for a long time. I didn't even know it was based on a video game. So Prince of Persia, another one. Warcraft, awful, terrible movie. I didn't even know what the hell was going on. And and again, incredibly popular video game. And everybody's like, yeah, forget the movie. You should play the game. No, I won't. Assassin's Creed, one of the stupidest movies I've ever seen. If I remember correctly, was it Fassbender? Michael Fassbender is in that. Really stupid with terrible. And I didn't even get into some of the special effects in these movies. Movies that are based on video games seem to, because they're inspired by video games, I guess they have to kind of look like it. So the CGI is generally really terrible. And that is really true of Assassin's Creed. It's true of like 90% of these stupid ass movies is that the CGI is so cheesy and terrible. And then we've got Rampage. That one I kind of liked. I'll give you that one. Never played the video game, but I kind of like that one. This Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is now Dwayne Johnson, and it's a big ape and a dinosaur ripping up Chicago. Like they tear down the Sears Tower in the movie. So that was fun. I've never played the video game. Didn't hate the movie. Really stupid. Clearly as stupid a movie because it's based on a video game. Of course, it's going to be stupid. But it was really fun to see the loop get completely demolished. So I had a good time. Last 45 minutes of the movie when they are fucking up the loop in Chicago. Giant ape, giant lizard, ripping shit, bringing down the Sears Tower. That's pretty awesome. Rampage. Let's see. Detective Pikachu. What do we... And it's Ryan Reynolds, who I think is another guy I think is a jagoff. I hate the Deadpool movies. They suck. The Deadpool movies suck. They suck. Snarky, stupid, snide, breaking the fourth wall, comments. I hate the Deadpool movies. They're fucking stupid, and they are not nearly as clever as they think they are. They're stupid, little snide comments, and as a result, I now can't stand Ryan Reynolds. He's been good in a few movies, but every time people are like, yeah, Deadpool's hilarious. No, it's not. It sucks. And that Detective Pikachu, he's like the voice of the little Pikachu. I sat through half an hour of it. Terrible. And then there's there's Sonic the Hedgehog, which we have a sequel to coming out. I didn't even see the first one. Didn't even see it. I know people were pissed off because Sonic didn't look like Sonic. I don't even know what Sonic looks like. Jim Carrey, I hope the paycheck for the new one must have been really huge for him to come back and do it. So Sonic. And we had another Tomb Raider. Now this Tomb Raider, not a great movie, but man, Alicia Vikander in it, whew, she was cool as hell and hot and fun to watch. That Tomb Raider movie that she made, the one with Alicia Vikander, is a million times better. Not even in the same camp as those stupid-ass Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider movies. Her movie was like 8,000 times. It wasn't good, but it was so much more fun to watch. She was so much better. Like, she almost gave, like, a human performance in it, and she was unbelievably attractive. And her action sequences and all the stuff that she did, the battle stuff, the fights, the training that she did was so apparent. Alicia Vikander was fucking great in a relatively stupid Tomb Raider movie, but a million times better than the Angelina Jolie crap. And then we have some Angry Birds movies. We have two movies based on the Angry Birds. So, there you go. Those are video game movies. I've named one that I think is legitimately good, a couple that are okay, and a couple that are so bad they're hilarious, and then the rest of them are just shit. That's like 25 to 30 titles of terrible movies, all based on video games. And Uncharted can be added to that almost never-ending list of video games that become movies. Here's the deal. If you're thinking about making a movie based on a video game, don't.